Welcome to our second podcast for the Cannon and Jackson Sports Talk. I'm Cannon.
And I'm Jackson.
And we're very happy to be here. For our itinerary for this journey off to football is we have news and notes from around the league. We got a couple things that we thought were really interesting that we wanted to talk about. We're also going to talk about our reactions from the games and also go into more detail about different games that we actually did watch as well. And then lastly, we'll just kind of go over a couple other surprises. All right, so I'm going to let you start off with our biggest headline, for me at least, is that Dak is coming back. Now, there's a lot we could talk about with that Eagles game, but let's keep that for the Eagles game. What are the implications of Dak coming back?
It would be a slight boost for the Dallas Cowboys, I think, but I think it would be more of the same. Basically, run their offense through the run game, and focus or rely heavily on that defense.
Yeah, that defense is definitely what they want to rely on, but I think Dak is more than a minor boost. I think he's a major boost. Cooper Rush, he's a good game manager, a fringe starter, maybe the 33rd or 34th best quarterback in football, if that. I just can see that Dallas does not trust him, and I think that there's going to be a happy medium when Dak comes back. So, any other things you want to talk about before we go to our next news?
No, we can move on to the next one. I have some, to talk to combat that, but we'll
all right, sounds good. We'll go ahead and we'll wait till we get to that Cowboys-Eagles highlight. All right, so Christian McCaffrey, there are rumors that he might get traded. There's a couple smart landing places that I think he could go to that could make Super Bowl contenders into even better Super Bowl contenders, or maybe fringe Super Bowl contenders into Super Bowl contenders. What's a team you think would benefit from picking him up?
Well, me personally, I don't know if this team has the trade assets to pull this off, but if he were to land with the Bills, I think that would be that'd be automatic, because their running game is pretty underwhelming, right? It's not as good as you think it should be. But I think with somebody as dynamic as Christian McCaffrey, I think that team would be extremely difficult to stop, for sure. That's the first team that pops in my mind. I'm not sure about the assets, and I'm not sure if they have the ability to pull it off at this moment, but I don't think anybody will want that to happen. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that the assets are going to be possible because he is an overpaid running back for his health. He's been hurt way too much, and so his contract is a liability, just like Ezekiel Elliott is, except Zeke is a little different. His production declined. McCaffrey's still good when he's in, but he's not. I don't consider him a superstar at the running back position right now, especially after watching the games I've been watching. He's good. He's definitely top 10, but he's not in that. He's not in the category of upper echelon.
I think that's a product of where he's at though right now. I think just overall the Carolina offense is a dumpster fire, so they can't get their starting quarterback straight now. I think Baker Mayfield, you think a little bit of Baker Mayfield more highly than I do. I just think it's an overall limited offense.
And that's exactly what you should say is the offense is limited. It's not the players, it's the coaching. And you, of everyone, should know that Ben McAdoo should not be an offensive coordinator in the NFL.
No, yeah, of course. Yeah.
He can make anybody look awful. Baker didn't stand a chance out there. I think it was definitely... I think if they had a better offensive coordinator, we'd be talking about Baker Mayfield at least in the top 15 conversation.
Yeah, he can win you a few games, but he's just to me he's not the type of quarterback where you can bring it home. If you ask him, bring it home, win this game for me, I don't think he's that guy personally. I just don't. I don't see it. Like he's too short. If you watch his games, his balls are always getting batted down. He's not the most athletic guy. That's why I take Kyler over him in a heartbeat, because Kyler could at least I mean, he can scramble a little bit, but like Kyler, you can actually run some plays through him through his feet. And with Baker Mayfield, him being that short and being that unathletic, I just don't see him as a guy, as I would, basically give the reins to.
Yeah, I'm just hoping this dude can at least get some sort of chance when McAdoo does get fired. I'm calling it. He's going to get fired this season. I mean, I was watching those Carolina games. It's like Baker doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
And here's how I tell the offense is bad is, look at DJ Moore. For my money, he's top 10 wide receiver in football. He can't even get the ball.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who the quarterback is right now. PJ Walker just played. Still couldn't get the ball. It's like that Carolina offense is so anemic that they are, I'd say they're probably the worst team in football just because of their offense. At least the Texans have some life to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Panthers just look like a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's not good. And
yeah.
McCaffrey definitely, he deserves better. So he needs to get up out of there. Hopefully he goes to a championship contending team. And yeah, I think he could be a significant boost on a number of teams. I'm thinking, so Bills is the first. What are the teams that you think? Possibly?
So I was trying to think about it. The Bills seem like the perfect fit, if we're going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Just let me think of some of the teams really quick.
Got Baltimore.
I mean, yeah, Baltimore would be nice because they got that good. They got a good run design scheme, and it seems like the Baltimore running backs just aren't producing the way they should.
Mm-hmm. Kenny Drake went off yesterday, though. But go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of teams that with some decent running backs. So
maybe the Broncos.
Okay.
Because
yeah. I think that's a good one. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Broncos. I think the Broncos might. Maybe the Rams. Now that they're going to lose Cam Akers.
Yeah.
For personal reasons, they seem to want to trade him. Maybe they can just do a swap. I don't know. I know the Rams would obviously have to give something, but if we know anything about the Rams, it's that the Rams will just get rid of all their draft picks to get somebody a star.
Somebody like Christian McCaffrey.
But I don't think McCaffrey's going to be that expensive because of that contract. So I think he might be like maybe a second round pick.
Yeah, a second round. I could see a second round like in a couple thirds or something like that for sure.
Yeah, I don't see a first for him. It seems like people like to hold their first. It's like, what was Jalen Ramsey, 2 first-round picks? And he was still all-pro at that point.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So, an actual trade happened between the Panthers and the Cardinals. Robbie Anderson got traded to the Cardinals. And at first I thought, what point is this trade? They got Hollywood. They got DeAndre Hopkins coming back. And then I found out that Hollywood might be out for the rest of the season, so now the trade makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Jackson, what do you think this does for the Cardinals' offense?
I mean, it's a definite downgrade. I mean, for sure. I mean, they make this trade for Robbie Anderson. He can make some explosive plays for you here and there, but overall totality of wide receiver, he's not Marquise Brown. So I mean, yeah, he helps out with the loss of him with the Hollywood, but they were struggling on offense to begin with. It's going to be, even worse now. So, but hopefully DeAndre Hopkins, can come. It's this week, week 7, I believe it's this week. Yeah. We're not sure what he's going to look like off of, this layoff. But DeAndre Hopkins, for sure, he's going to help out. And A.J. Green has been, pretty much non-existent. I haven't heard his name all year. So, yeah, just overall, what's going on, in Arizona right now, it's not the best. It's a little disappointing at the situation they're in. But, I mean, hopefully, they can get something going. Yeah,
I think I view Robbie Anderson a little higher than you do.
Yeah.
Is Robbie Anderson's a burner. That dude is lightning. Hollywood is too, don't get me wrong, but Robbie Anderson's also big. He's long, and he weighs more. Hollywood's a bit, he's... I don't want to say one-trick pony because that's definitely rude to him, but there's only a couple things he could do. Robbie could muscle his way through some catches. So I think it's, honestly, in my opinion, either a slight downgrade or a wash between them, because I think Robbie Anderson is a great player, and I don't even know what the trade details were.
Yeah, I don't know what trade details.
But I am assuming it's a better deal than a first-round pick, which is what the Eagles traded to get A.J. Brown, too. So it's like, I don't think... Yeah, there was some inequity with that trade. So overall, I think the Cardinals are going to stay about where they are.
Yeah.
Not very good. But I'm hoping when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, we can see some life in this Cardinals team. So that's it for news. What are we up to next, Jackson?
No, so we're just going to pretty much recap some of the games that just went by this past Sunday. And one of the biggest ones was the Sunday Night Football game between the Eagles and the Cowboys. I'm extremely happy about that because I'm like the big Cowboy hater over here. But what was your takeaways from that game?
It was the game of many feelings. Depression when they're down by 20. And I'm like, wow, this is what happens when we play a good team. To optimism. I'm very optimistic on how Dallas finished the game. Here's what I'm thinking is they were down 20-3, and Cooper Rush put that defense in some really bad situations. Like 2 interceptions and a failed 4th down, which I don't know why Dallas went for that 4th down, because that could have made the game like 24-0 or whatever it would have been at the time. But Dallas's defense is really where my optimism is. Dallas's offense put them in really bad positions, and they still only gave up 24 points to one of the best offenses in football. So I think that shows that Dallas's defense is for real. And if you looked at that Dallas defense after the half, they gave up 6 points. 6 points to that team. I think when Dak comes back, this team is definitely going to be dangerous. I'm not going to say Super Bowl. I'm going to say that they're going to be dangerous and you're not going to want to play them in the playoffs. And I'll hold my Super Bowl judgments until I see how Dak looks, because last time he came back from injury, he didn't look very good for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I think we also have to look at, the loss of their right tackle for the Eagles as well. So there was a big loss for them with Lane Johnson. I think he went out with a concussion. So I think that had a lot to do with Dallas, having to come back as the way they did. And also, kind of like I was saying before, Dallas, they're known for this. They do. There's plenty of data of Dallas falling behind, and then they're chipping away, making a comeback, and they fall short. Okay, this has been a trend with Dallas. Okay, and this is with Dak Prescott. So, and also about this optimism, like I understand, I get what you're trying to come from, but at the end of the day, this is Dallas Cowboys. This is the standard of the NFL. So, like, I think it's kind of like with the Lakers. Like, it shouldn't be nothing less than a championship. Like, I mean, if we might have came back and, we might have had a competitive game. Like, but this is this is the NFL, This is any given Sunday. Like, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just, Pittsburgh Steelers just beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, I mean, it's enough of this, in my opinion. It's just enough with this optimism. Oh, they came back and all this stuff. Like, this is the Dallas Cowboys. They need to win, and they lost. Okay, that's my thing. And I think, though their defense has a lot of promise, Cooper Rush did what he was supposed to do for him. But they got to win. We always talk about and rave about the talent that they have. They just have to win. And me personally, I don't think we should talk about Super Bowl with them, because we've seen many instances where they've been, competitive and things of that nature and think highly of them, and they fall short. So, to me personally, I think this Dallas Cowboys have a lot to prove. And they're going to have to prove to me that they can get past the division round. So, I don't think that's, I
agree. They definitely have to prove that to me, too.
Yeah.
I'll say, though, I don't think Rush did what he was supposed to do. 3 picks? No. Especially I want a CD Lamb. That one hurt.
Let me clarify. Sorry, when he did what he's supposed to do, I mean over the totality of starting. So let me clarify on that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, dang. I was like three. Yeah. I mean, I think he was supposed to throw 3 picks against the Eagles. That Eagles defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
But oh man, if there were plays if Dak was the quarterback there, like that underthrow to CD Lamb, that wouldn't have happened with Dak. Because Dak's a big guy, he would have stood in there and he would have shot that one in there. Cooper Rush is a little smaller, but I think Dallas will gladly welcome back Dak's athleticism, their read option plays, and I think especially CeeDee Lamb is going to thank Dak for coming back because CeeDee Lamb definitely should have had a touchdown there if Cooper Rush was that guy. So overall, jury's out on Dallas still. We'll see where they go. We'll see how Dak looks, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went on a huge losing streak or if they went on a huge winning streak. It's just Dallas and they're chaotic. All right, cool.
But we can talk about the Eagles, though. The Eagles, like, they can legit make the Super Bowl. This team is a legit team. We're just talking about their defense. They got some guys that can rush the passer. They got, I think, the best cornerback duo in the league. They're pretty dominant. You know, Slay and and Bradbury. But Eagles, they're dangerous.
You can't forget about the player they got from the Saints too. The one who hurt his hand.
Yeah,
Joseph Day.
Is it 23 you're talking about?
I'm not sure the number.
Yeah, I forgot his name. Yeah, but they're just dangerous. They're dangerous. They can definitely go to the Super Bowl, especially with the NFC not looking as good as it. It's not looking great. So. Eagles, they definitely can go all the way for sure.
Yeah, the only thing that I worry about is I know Jalen Hurts is doing really good right now. Mm-hmm. He is definitely performing above what he should be. But with these quarterbacks who rely a lot on the run, rely a lot on running offenses, it doesn't seem to work out in the playoffs. I mean, Lamar Jackson, I would argue, is he's definitely top 6 at least. Mm-hmm. Before the season, I would have said he was maybe 10 or 11. But in the playoffs, Lamar gets stopped almost every time. I think he has 1 playoff win. And what do? They take away his run and they make him win the game. And I hope, I know I'm a Dallas fan, but I do like Jalen Hurts, and I really like A.J. Brown. He's one of my favorite wide receivers. I think that I'm going to have to see them win a couple playoff games before I can definitely say they're going to win a Super Bowl. At least I need to see them win their first playoff game because once you get down to it, coaches know how to take away stuff, especially the good coaches. Yeah. And this whole slow second half starts, the Lions almost coming back, the Jaguars almost coming back, Dallas almost coming back. Those things need to be fixed if they want to be the true Super Bowl contenders that their talent says they are.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming back, but at the end of the day, they're still finishing on top. And I think that's what matters, yes. And I think, I believe in them and fixing those kinks for sure. But, overall, as far as what you were saying, like, in the playoffs and coaches cracking down on the run game, but it's like they got 2 burners on the outside, man, who can get open, like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That's better than anything that Lamar Jackson's had on the outside, in my opinion. So, for sure. But I agree with you saying they like in order to talk about Super Bowl, they do have to win a Super Bowl, they do have to win a playoff game. I totally get it. But these guys, they have the the talent and they have the coach to get this done for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. I just get afraid when if they have to play Tampa Bay. I know Tampa Bay is not looking good, but I think Tampa Bay is built to stop that Eagles team.
Tampa Bay would be good. They'll be fine.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to our next games. So we're going to go into more detail about the games that we watched, and we're just going to talk about implications of the other games. So Commanders-Bears, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, they're both really bad teams.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, Bears and Commanders fans, but it's true.
Yeah.
You kept the Thursday night football crap fest going, so thank you.
Yeah, I have no comment on that. We can just move on from that one for sure. Niners-Falcons.
Yeah. I think this says a couple things. Falcons are a little better than we give them credit for because they did that without Cordell Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
And the Niners' offense isn't good.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not worried about the defense at all because they were missing so many guys, right? So, I mean, I don't think that's a discussion. Like, once those guys come back from, and they're healthy, this San Francisco team, they're a Super Bowl contender. They just are. They can contend to get to the Super Bowl at least. Yeah. And the offense, yeah, I mean, it's it's one of those things. I expect them to do more than what they did, but they have shown that they can that they are capable of getting deep in the playoffs. So I don't think that's a major concern because this team has proven in the past 2 times in the past 4 years that they can get deep into the playoffs and into the Super Bowl. So this team overall, even though it was a bad loss, despite them having 5-6 players out on defense, I have no worries about them. And plus, I mean, Seattle's there, but like overall, I'm not worried about their division.
Isn't it funny how that works? Mm. They went from like one of the best divisions to one of the worst.
Yeah.
And then the NFC goes from one of the worst to
NFC
one of the best.
Yeah.
NFC East. The Niners are still the best in that division because the Rams are sad.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are pretty sad, and the Seahawks are definitely overperforming, which I'm enjoying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I still think Niners are Super Bowl contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Falcons are probably not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because that AFC is way too. They are part of the NFC.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think they have the talent.
No, not at all.
It's
not
like they're overperforming, just like the Seahawks. Bengals Saints.
Bengals Saints. Who are you going to start off with, Saints or the Bengals?
I didn't get to watch too much of this game, so we could just talk about implications. These are the games of the people who lose close games.
Mm-hmm.
And not both teams can lose. Bengals ended up doing well. I remember, last time I said they're not creative enough with Jamar Chase.
No.
He finally went off.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if they boosted up the creativity, but they found a way to get in the ball. You need to give your playmakers the ball. And Jamar Chase is one of the best playmakers in the NFL. So, good job on them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Bengals, I mean, as far as if we're just talking buy or sell, I understand they made the Super Bowl last year, but I'll sell. I mean, because, like, they have struggles on the offensive line, and, Saints are a middle-of-the-pack team, and then they lost to, Dallas. Dallas is, hitting some strides. They have a great defense and whatnot, but Cincinnati, if they're that team, if they're any resemblance if they were last year, they have not shown it. So I'm definitely sell on the Bengals. I think they have some issues that they definitely got to work out for sure.
Well, the Bengals are the ultimate any given Sunday because they could have lost to the Raiders in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
They should have lost to the Titans.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Tannehill, but he's not an interception thrower, and he threw 3.
Yeah. And
then Pat Mahomes just let off the gas. The Chiefs let off the gas, and the Bengals took advantage.
Yep.
And if gambling was legal in California, I would have put a lot of money on the Rams winning.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that they were going to win.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was like the easy Super Bowl. And Jackson knows I was flying Bengals the entire playoffs. I said they were going to beat everybody, even the Chiefs.
Man. Yeah.
And when the Rams came, he was like, "So you're going to bet the Bengals again?" I'm like, "No, Rams." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Who's going to block Aaron Donald?"
I kept saying though, but overall, I said, man, had to be the luckiest pick in the history of picks that the Bengals will make the Super Bowl. Kudos to them for making it and whatnot, but I still can't wrap my head on how they made it last year. That totally caught me off guard for sure. Yeah,
let's talk about the Saints now. I'm gonna just say one thing: they need to use Taysom Hill more.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull up the stats right now. He had 2 completions for 16 yards, and he had 5 rushes for 39 yards. I don't care that Alvin Kamara is on this team. I don't care that you have Chris Olave, Callaway. I know Olave didn't play. Taysom Hill's your most dynamic playmaker.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it in that Seattle game. He is the reason that game was the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Without him, you would have been blown off the field.
For sure.
So, use Taysom Hill more. And even use him as a passer. I mean, is Taysom Hill really that much worse than Andy Dalton?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, I just they just got to play through. I mean, I haven't really paid too much attention to the Saints, but they definitely have to play through that running game with Kamara and then use more Taysom Hill. I think some RPOs in there would be really, really good. They can be dangerous for sure. They can be dangerous, and they have a really good pass rush. And their division, they got the Falcons, Panthers, Dumpster Fire, and Tampa Bay.
They should be the second best team.
They should be the second best. They definitely should be. So, yeah, and they got to get Jameis back. So once he comes back, I think they have a chance to at least get a wild card, maybe that final spot. I think they have the overall.
They have the talent.
Yeah, they have the talent to do that.
It's just the coaching.
Yeah. So but we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens for sure.
They definitely miss Sean Payton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's pretty hard to replace there.
Yeah, hoping Dallas gets him next year. Fingers crossed.
No, I hope not. Don't be smart, Sean. Don't go to Dallas.
Oh, Sean loves Dallas, though. He's been wanting to go there for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Craziest thing was he was supposed to go to Dallas that year Anthony Davis got traded to the Lakers, but the management blocked it.
It's supposed to be a trade, right?
It was supposed to be a trade. Management blocked it because they didn't want to lose 2 superstars in the same month. So, as a Lakers fan, I'm glad Anthony Davis came because we won a championship with him. But it's like maybe Dallas would have won a Super Bowl. Probably not, but it's like I think I'm okay with it because of the circumstances of being a Lakers fan. So let's move on to your G-Men.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm assuming neither of us watched this game.
I watched the hell out of this game.
So I just want to say my implications and then leave it to you because you're the master of this game. You know what happened in this game.
Yeah.
The Ravens defense sucks. Like, it's not good. It's bad. That's pretty much what I can say is if the Ravens were that team, they would have beaten the Giants.
Yeah.
Lamar, what are you doing throwing that interception? You had the game under control, and you throw that interception. Dallas Cowboy mistakes. That's a Dallas Cowboys mistake, Jackson. Is not as bad as Russell Wilson throwing that interception, but it's still like the interception when he could have kicked the field goal and they would have won.
Yeah.
Would have won me money, but that was a mental blow, and Lamar is showing me he's that guy, but at the same time he's showing me he's not that guy.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating because he should be that guy, but he's making these mistakes. And what are the Ravens now? I'll check their record.
3-3. I mean, it's like when they're depending solely on his arm, like towards the end of the game, that's where it's like struggle. So, I mean, even though he's shown that he can throw it, but it's like he's the most effective, obviously, when you run through run the offense through his running game. And I think the Giants did a really, really good job in containing that. The Giants, I think you got to give Kayvon Thibodeau a little bit more love, man. The last two games, he's made two game-deciding plays, right? So I think overall with his production, Thibodeau, I would love to be more consistent, but he has come through at the end of games. And again, they're running through Saquon. They're using Saquon. They're even when he's just as a decoy. He's that much of an impactful player, and that's what Dayball's been doing a really, really good job in putting that on display for the Giants. And honestly, more than anything, man, I feel like this team just has heart, man, because what they have in the past. Because last year, 2 years ago, we would have got blown out. 3 years ago, we would have got blown out. When the moment we went down 20-10, that would have been it. But Dayball has, sparked some new life in this team. They went down 20-10, and they still kept chipping away. They made the proper adjustments, and they pulled it out, man. They pulled it out, and I'm very, very, very happy about that. And Daniel Jones, this is, I think, what Brian Daboll has done the best with Daniel Jones is him not turning the ball over. Even though Daniel Jones, I have my questions about him.
I like him more than you do.
Yeah, I don't think he's that guy. He's not that guy where you handle the ball and say, "Hey, go win me the game." No, but he can manage a game for you. You can win some games with him, as you can see. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over, he's doing a fantastic job, and that's also a testament to the offensive line. I think they've been much better this year as well. So, but that has been one of the biggest differences. Daniel Jones not turning the ball over, and therefore the Giants are reaping the benefits for it. So I like where this team is at. I'm starting to become a believer. If you look at the schedule, we can really, these next 3 games. I'm trying my best not to, get my hopes up about this. But they can really be 8-0 these next 3 games. They're very, very winnable games. I think it's against the Texans. Yeah, Texans.
That should be a win.
I believe it's the Colts.
It should be a win.
Yeah, and there's one other team I can't remember. I have to probably pull it up, but they can very well be 8-1 at the end of 9 weeks. So I like where this team is headed. Yeah, they'll have a chance. I mean, I think the Eagles are much better than them. I think the Cowboys are. They've already proven they. But this was very early in the season. They've already beaten us. But we can compete for a divisional title. We have the heart to compete. Will we do that? Get that done? I don't think so, because I think the Eagles are just better. But overall, I like where this Giants team is at.
I think the coaching is great.
Yeah.
I think the Giants actually made good coaching decisions, which is really good for them. Mm-hmm. They got a really good defensive coach, and they got a really good offensive coach. And that's what they really needed to do. So I think the Giants, they're who we think they are mm-hmm. at this moment. I think they're an upper, a top 10 team. Maybe they're not necessarily a 5-1 quality team. Maybe they're a 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
But they're a good team, and they, not talent-wise, but they're so well coached, and they know what they need to do to win. Just like Dallas knows what they need to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what you have to do as a coach. You have to know and not let your hubris make you think, "Oh yeah, we paid Galladay $14 million. Let's feature him." No, they said, "You know what, Galladay, you're gonna have to earn your snaps, and let's do a Galladay check." I think we'll do a Galladay check every week. Well, he's not in the top receivers, and the bottom one has 1 catch, so I'm assuming Galladay had either no catches or 1 catch for less than 8 yards.
I don't think he was even playing. He wasn't there.
Man.
I don't think he was playing.
Oh, Matt Stafford made him look like a good player.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the Jets and the Panthers. Jets, Jets.
The Packers?
Oh, the Packers. Well, I thought maybe it was the Panthers. I mean,
how they were playing. Yeah, no lie there.
I think I'll start with this one because, I thought the Jets were going to win this game. And, Jamal didn't agree with me, which is okay. I get it. The Packers are good. Packers are good. But I think the Jets are a really good team. They got the defense. Yeah. They got the offense. Zach Wilson's breathing life into them. It's and it's not necessarily with stats, because if you look at Zach Wilson's stats, he was 10 for 18 for 110 yards.
Mm-hmm.
0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But he's such a threat. He can throw. He can sling the ball almost like anybody else in the league, aside from Mahomes and Allen.
Mm-hmm.
He is great, and so teams have to respect that. I don't think it's a coincidence that Breece Hall is dominating now that Zach Wilson's in. 20 attempts, 110 yards, 5.8 yards a carry, a touchdown. He wasn't doing that with Flacco because they knew Flacco couldn't throw it deep.
Mm-hmm.
So even if Zach Wilson's not getting these touchdowns, he is scaring teams. He's scaring them. And now Breece Hall gets to reap the rewards. And I think it's great. And if you look at the 110 yards off of 10 completions, 11 yards. But Corey Davis, 2 receptions for 52 yards. That's that big playability. Is 26 yards. You wouldn't get that with Flacco. You're going to get dink and dunk and screens. And without Zach Wilson, they would not have won this game. If it was Flacco, they would have found a way to screw it up. So I think Zach Wilson is definitely a great addition to the team now that he's healthy.
Yeah, and I think their coach as well breathes a lot of life in him.
Yeah,
he's
solid.
Yeah, he's a ball full of energy, and I think his team really, really, really loves playing for him. And I think, and that definitely matters. And that defense. Let's not forget about the special teams, man. The special teams made some really, really crucial plays. And that which would lead me into the Packers. Like, even going back to last year, Packers had issues. That's what cost them the playoffs. Everybody talked about Aaron Rodgers last year, but they didn't really.
Rodgers did fine.
They just overlooked, what happened with special teams. But, like, overall, the Jets, they're looking like a scary team, for sure. They're looking like a scary team. Like, it's not that I disagree with what he's saying about Zach Wilson, but, I think that remains to be seen if he's that guy that can make that play for you to go win the game. But like how they're playing, it probably wouldn't even, it's, they can win regardless, and they can win many different ways, right? As we can see. But, if you want like to add, anything else to the Jets?
I think I've said what I needed to about the Jets is, I'm just going to look at their next week matchup.
Because I wanted to make sure you had what you had to say about the Jets before I move on to the Packers.
They're playing the Broncos next week. That's a W for the Jets. Oh, I gave one of my picks away.
Yeah.
I don't know. You might steal it. I might have made you a believer.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and go to our next game, which is going to be.
But we can't overlook the Packers. We're not done with the Packers. That's why. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to. But Packers. My goodness, they missed Devontae Adams. That's what a lot of this is about, because they have their same running backs from last year. I think they need to utilize the running game a lot more because they're lacking that on the outside. And but they don't have a 1 or 2 out there. And it's really frustrating to watch. I know Aaron Rodgers is frustrated, so they need a guy or 2. I would love for them to trade for Chase Claypool or something like that, or hopefully they could get Odell Beckham Jr. But obviously the offense looks non-existent, and their defense is disappointing to say the least. I don't think they had that bad of a game yesterday, but they're not as dominant as a lot of us expected. Yeah, and they have a lot. They have problems that they got to work out for sure. And Matt LaFleur, I think this is his biggest test. All the years he's been here, this is his biggest test because he's got his number 1 receiver gone. He's not walking through that door. Okay, now you got a bunch of subpar wide receivers with 2 good running backs and obviously a great quarterback. I think. He just got to figure it out. This is his biggest test, and we're really going to see how great of a coach Matt LaFleur is because through his years he has not faced anything like this. So they got a lot of stuff they got to work out for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the running game as I don't think they're forgetting about it. Mm-hmm. I just think the play style of the Packers makes it so easy to crowd the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yep.
That the running backs can't even thrive. Aaron Rodgers he's playing dink and dunk fest. He's a master at it, don't get me wrong. He's probably the only one that could win like this, honestly. But here's the issue. Now your running game doesn't get the holes that it used to when you used to throw the ball deep. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is, I know he doesn't trust his receivers. I don't know if he's trying to protect his stats because it almost seems like the lack of risk downfield is almost like he's trying to protect something. It's like the Aaron Rodgers I love watching. He would make those long throws, and he wouldn't just continually throw it.
Yeah, and that goes along with what we're saying. Like he knows the abilities of his wide receivers. I'll be very hesitant to risk throwing the ball with Randall Cobb out there, like anything, crazy deep, or if he had basically what I'm trying to say is if he had that guy on the outside, I believe he would take those chances. But it's like, if there's probably like a 75% chance he's not going to come up with this 50-50 ball, or 75% chance 50-50 ball, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Then I totally understand why he wouldn't pass it. So, and wouldn't take those risks. Because there's a likelihood that it's going to get intercepted or it's not going to be successful. So, I think if you did get him a guy on the outside, a guy or two, then I think he would be more willing to let it fly. That's just the nature of it,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll have to see, but right now what he is doing is not working. Now we're acting like the ship is sinking, but they are still 3-3.
Yeah.
But it's an ugly 3-3.
Yeah,
it's it's like not as bad as the Colts being 3-2-1.
Yeah.
But
for sure,
it's ugly.
Yeah.
And I'm still holding out hope that maybe Watson can establish himself, because he's definitely their freakiest wide receiver.
I don't know why they even got him in the first place, because it's like, I like Watson, but like he can't stay healthy. He hasn't been on the field. He's missed I think he's only played one or two games.
Really? I have to look at those.
Yeah, he hasn't been out there, man. So I didn't understand it, but who knows? Hopefully they can make a trade for somebody. Christian Watson has been it's been an extreme disappointment. I'm getting mixed up. Did you say Sammy Watkins?
No, Christian.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting mixed up. I'm thinking of
Sammy Watkins.
But even Christian Watson, he wasn't out there last night.
Yeah, he had a couple games where he's injured, but at least Romeo Doubs is showing something.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to Steelers-Bucks. So I didn't watch this game. Did you watch this game?
Steelers-Bucks, yeah. Steelers-Bucks. I was going in and out of it. Steelers. One week they look like the armpit of the league. The next week they're looking pretty sharp.
Now
go ahead.
Sorry, let me ask you: do you think this was more a Steelers establishing themselves, or the Bucks just blew it?
This was not the Bucks blowing it. This was the Steelers putting pressure on Tom Brady, playing ugly, gritty Pittsburgh Steelers football. That's what it was when I was watching it. I know Tampa Bay is not playing up to par, but at the end of the day, the Steelers, they put pressure on them. They, like I said, they were playing gritty football, and I think that had a lot to do with it. And Tampa Bay, I'm not worried about Tampa Bay, really. There's been many, even the year they won the Super Bowl, they had some struggles in there where it didn't look good. I remember one week, Thursday night, I believe, they lost to the Chicago Bears, and it looked ugly. And then they went, and then they caught fire at the right time, and then they won it all. So as long as you got Tom Brady, you always have the opportunity at the end of the year. There's a few kinks that they have to work out, but they'll be fine.
I think their biggest issue right now is they're not letting Brady let it rip like they did last year. Man, why do I keep forgetting the coach's name?
Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles is a defense run first guy, and I feel like they're managing Brady. I mean, Brady had 243 yards for 9.7 yards, per completion. Leonard Fournette got 21 attempts, 63 yards, and a 3-yard average. I'm sorry, but those numbers don't add up. You need to let Brady throw it down the field. I mean, let's even look at Mike Evans. Averaged 10 yards a catch. Mike Evans is one of the most physically dominant receivers in football. He had 1 catch for 20 yards and 3 catches for 22 yards. He needs to be unleashed. And that is really it, I think, is they need to go back to what they did last year that made them successful. Or maybe a hybrid. Maybe Leonard Fournette carries the ball 15 times instead of 21 times. Let Brady unleash it, because his arm is still just as strong as ever.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and go to another game that I did not watch is Vikings-Dolphins.
Yeah, I watched just a teeny bit of it.
I think it's hard to really tell anything from this game, besides the fact that Dalvin Cook is really dang good, is they have their second string in, Bridgewater, who's still had a good game. He had 329 yards and 2 touchdowns. But really the big story of this game is Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook just had that one 53-yard rush that got that touchdown. Justin Jefferson is also another big fact. Their stars balled out. 8 targets, 6 receptions, 107 yards. Cleanup by Thielen and Osborne. It's the way for the Vikings to win is through their stars, because their defense isn't going to win you too many games. I believe if Tua was in, then the Dolphins would have won that game, because I think Tua is just good enough to be able to get to be a 1-score difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway is Minnesota's pulling away in that division. It looks like they're gonna, definitely win it. I mean, we'll see if they can do a clean sweep on Green Bay. They definitely have the tools to do it. As far as if we want to jump into a Super Bowl, they can compete. I just don't think Kirk Cousins will. If you need him to go win the game, I'm big. I mean, obviously, I'm big on that. I have questions about that, but as long as they play smart, and focus on their strengths, I mean, they'll always have that chance. But yeah, it looks like they're going to get a home playoff game so far.
Yeah. Jaguars, Colts. I don't
particularly care, but
no. I think Jaguars should have won that game. I think they're better than the Colts. But Jaguars are they're falling. They're free falling. They looked really good, and now they're looking like they did.
Yeah.
So they still have time. They could even win that division still, but I do think they're a better team than the Colts.
Yeah, and I think the Jaguars are, they're what a lot of teams are in September, right? You see a lot of teams who look either terrible or really good in September, and it could kind of be misguided. It kind of could deceive you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't think too much. I mean, we'll see. Even though I haven't watched much of them, maybe they can pull some games out of their ass in the next few weeks. But we're just gonna have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, the Jaguars I'm thinking of are the ones that just destroyed the Chargers.
Yeah.
And they destroyed the Colts.
But the Chargers, sorry to cut you off, but the Chargers, we know they're really good talent-wise, but they're known for putting in some duds. They'll lose to teams that you would think would win. So
no, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. It's just the way they made Herbert look pedestrian that game. Even before the injury, Herbert did not look good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Patriots, Browns. Patriots are real.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick is a master at making things work.
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson looks good. And they have a backup in third string. They have a third string quarterback in.
Yep.
And they still beat the Browns 38-15.
Yeah.
Defense and running.
Yeah.
And they didn't even really have to even run that well. It's he averaged 4 yards a carry, but he's got to carry it 19 times with 2 touchdowns. And that opens up the pass to give, Bailey Zappi. It gives him the ability to throw 309 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I guess the defense would definitely be the story of the game.
Yeah, for sure. That defense is down.
2 interceptions, 4 sacks for Jacoby Brissett. Nick Chubb, very pedestrian, 56 yards, 4.7 yards a carry. Granted, 4.7 is good, but it's not Nick Chubb. And then 1 touchdown. It's
question. You got them going to the playoffs?
If Miami keeps looking the way they are, then I think the Patriots could sneak in past Miami. Because I don't even know really if you could rely on Tua. He gets hurt so easy.
Yeah, he gets hurt so much. Yeah, they're definitely a tough out. Patriots is definitely tough out. You got a defense like that. They're going to be hard to beat. They can make a wild card for sure. They can make a wild card, but I think that's as far as they will go. They just got to get the QB situation. Hopefully, Mac Jones comes back for them, and then they could be able to compete. And Belichick is just showing that he's the greatest coach of all time. He's a mastermind. I mean, he even we're talking about the Browns with the best running back duo, and Kareem Hunt didn't do anything.
No, and thank goodness, because I played against him, and he had less than a point. It's dominance, and Bill Belichick is finally getting to play the way he likes to play.
Yep, for sure.
And people like to say, "Oh, it was Brady, it was Belichick." No, it was a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah,
without Belichick, Brady would not have 6. He would not have the Super Bowls he does. He might not even have 1. And without Brady, Bill Belichick would probably have a couple less Super Bowls.
Yep.
And the reason I say a couple less is because those first Super Bowls that Brady was a part of, he was a game manager.
Yeah.
He was not the Tom Brady we're used to.
Yep. They
played through defense and running. Okay, Panthers-Rams. My takeaway is Panthers suck.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, worst team in football suck. Mm. I would honestly take the Texans to beat them at this point. It's that sad. And the Rams, they didn't look that good either.
Yeah, nah.
Stafford threw a pick 6.
I don't have much thoughts about that. That's I just second that. I'll echo that sentiment. There's really nothing much to dig out of that. I mean, hopefully the Rams can found something to where they can cling on to and maybe carry that over to the next few weeks, and maybe they have some momentum there. But other than that, obviously the Panthers is nothing worth talking about right now, and the Rams, we'll see if they can work something out, compete in that division.
Yeah. Seahawks Cardinals. Kenneth Walker is real. Geno Smith is really good. People like to clown on Geno for being a really bad player on the Jets in his first 2 years, but what quarterback has been good for the Jets?
Yeah.
I think I said this last podcast too, is Geno's showing that he is just as talented, if not more talented, than at least 20 other quarterbacks in the league. Yeah. I am very impressed with him, and I'm happy he gets this chance to succeed. Because even when he covered for Russell Wilson, mm-hmm. he still looked good. Mm-hmm. And people were clowning him. I'm like, no, let's give him a chance. And he's taking that chance and running with it. The Seahawks are 3-3. And they looked mm-hmm. awful the first 3 games. And now they look like they have an offense. I think, while tragic, the Rashad Penny injury, I think, opened the door for Kenneth Walker and that offense to be more dominant. Because I think Kenneth Walker was the best running back in that draft. Mm-hmm. Even with Breece Hall in that draft. I think they're both really good, but I just like Kenneth's explosiveness and his feet. You got to go back and watch his highlights because his feet are insane.
Yeah.
It's like Le'Veon Bell.
Mm.
So I think the Seahawks are, I think they're honestly the second best team in the division right now. I'd give it over them to the Rams.
Well, you have to. Yeah, for sure at this point, because they're looking more. They're looking stronger. They're just looking stronger. They're 3-3 right now.
They're 3-3.
Yeah, like the Rams, they have so many holes. They have so many holes in their team right now, in their offense and stuff. But the Seahawks, they just keep winning. So yeah, and like you said, I'm happy for Geno, man. He's showing that he has the ability to still play in this league, because there's a lot of people that have written him off. And a lot of people just forgot about him. People that forgot he was even in the league. And, the fact that he's coming out and, playing some strong football, smart football, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing is, it's one of those good feeling stories. Yeah. I'm glad he's succeeding.
For sure.
I was one of the ones that said, hey, I think they need to give Drew Lock that chance, because I think Drew Lock has a lot of talent, mm-hmm. but now I'm going to say, no, Geno's that guy.
Gotcha.
Bills-Chiefs.
Yeah.
The final game that we're going to talk about today is Bills-Chiefs. Now, let me ask you a question. Does this prove who the better team is? Like, can you definitively say the Bills are better than the Chiefs after that game?
You can't definitively say that. I mean, because it was... But, I mean, as far as yesterday, that's the only... it only matters, yesterday. So they were the better team on Sunday, and that's what mattered. They got the W. They did it in Arrowhead, which is a big thing. That's huge, because that's later could carry over to the playoffs and determine who has the home game. So, but the Bills, man, I will say they're a more complete team than the Chiefs. I think they got a few more players than the Chiefs. Right now, I would choose Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes. The running game can be a little not as strong as you would think, but I think overall they're the better team. Not just based on that game per se, but I just think overall they have better players. I think they have the better quarterback right now, and I will say, even though you can't definitively say that the Bills are better, I will definitely give them the edge over. And now that they won that game and possibly that can play over into home field advantage, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you for saying that. I think that the Bills are the better team. I think they're better built. I think they have a better defense. But I will say that I believe the Chiefs have the edge because of their playoff experience.
Yeah.
Regular season, who cares? Chiefs, they've beaten the Bills twice in the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've beaten them twice. That's in their head. That's in the Bills' head. So if I had to pick the better team, I'd say the Bills. I think the Bills are the best team in the NFL. But if I had to pick who would win in the playoffs, I'm still going to pick the Chiefs, and that's going to be until the Bills beat them, because that's in your head. It's like LeBron in Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto could not beat LeBron. And, it's a beast. And that'll be in the back of everyone's minds. Mm-hmm. And Mahomes isn't the type of player to let that go to his head. He's going to play hard the entire time. Mm-hmm. So...
sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly, and just kind of go off the rails just a slight touch, I'm just excited about this rivalry, man. These guys are young.
Oh, yeah.
These quarterbacks, they're going to be going at it for the next decade, dude. It's like Peyton and Tom Brady.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, and honestly, a more talented.
Oh yeah.
Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. So this rivalry's going nowhere. It's good. It's going nowhere. Whether it's this year, the year after that, Bills, they will get their lick. It will happen. It should happen. And as long as Josh Allen's their quarterback. So
yeah, it's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. I'm just happy that we have that. And I think it shows the best type of quarterback in the NFL is a big dude who can throw,
athletic,
and then he can run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's, it seems obvious to say, but it's what's Lamar not doing? What's Dak Prescott not doing? What's, at this point in his career, what's Aaron Rodgers not doing?
Yeah.
It's the athleticism and how big they are and the different arm angles they can throw. I feel like Matt Stafford was ahead of his time. Mm-hmm. I know I'm going to Matt Stafford and jumping, but Matt Stafford was that dude who could throw at different arm angles. He was the progenitor to these types of players who can throw the ball however they want.
Yep.
And I am looking forward to this rivalry. I think it's going to be a good, long rivalry because these two players, even if their teams aren't that good, they can still win. Yeah. Which we haven't seen from players like Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. And, I will say this year, I think overall Kansas City is obviously they're going to be okay without Tyreek Hill. But I think they're going to miss him when it comes down to that game. Because the reason why they even won that game last time was, in the playoffs was Tyreek's speed. In that fourth quarter, him. They don't have that guy. I mean, they have Scanlon who can run, but he's nowhere near Tyreek Hill. In his ability to run with the ball. That game, I'm assuming that'll be the AFC Championship, at least the divisional. It will show how much the Kansas City Chiefs miss Tyreek Hill. They're going to need him for specific games like that.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of that. Is I love Tyreek's talent. I think he's top 5 wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how creative Mahomes is without Tyreek, because Tyreek is, he's approaching diva class now. He's definitely a diva, especially with his. I mean, it's fine. Yeah. Most of the good wide receivers are divas. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But Mahomes ain't giving me the ball. Mahomes isn't giving me the ball. Mahomes, you gotta throw me the ball more. He was telling Mahomes to throw him the ball more when he was leading the league in targets.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I'm saying is now Mahomes is like, I could throw to whoever I want. I got Kelsey, who's pretty low maintenance superstar, and I got all these decent B+ wide receivers who I could throw to. Got good running backs who can catch the ball. I think they will miss Tyreek Hill in some scenarios, but I think Mahomes is playing a more free game now, which I think will benefit him more in the long run.
I don't disagree with that, but it's like, when it comes to those moments, those specific moments in the playoffs,
you want Tyreek.
Where you need that play. Tyreek is that guy that can get it done for you, and there's nobody on that team. I mean, they still have Kelsey that can blow the lid, because that's, like, again, that's what pretty much won them the game, at least kept them in the game, or in that divisional game, was throwing it 10 yards down to Tyreek Hill and he takes it 60 yards. They don't have that anymore, and I'm not saying they can't win without it, but like, it would be a significant disadvantage, especially if they're in Buffalo, right? And so that again, they have the coach, they have the quarterback, they have the team to get it done, but I think the Bills have the advantage in that scenario, for sure.
Yeah. So those were all the games.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing we want to do is talk about a couple of our biggest disappointments of the NFL season.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily things that we're specifically super disappointed by, but in general, what are some disappointments? It could be players or teams.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you go first. We can't pick the same one, so you get the first pick.
I'm going with the Raiders. You weren't about to go with the Raiders?
No,
right?
I mean, I could, but
yeah. Raiders are really disappointing because they added Johnson. Why is his first name? They're the defensive end. Why is his name? It's not Joe Johnson. Yeah, it is. Is it Joe? No, Johnson. What's the name's brother? But anyway, they added the Chandler Johnson. Jones. My bad. Chandler Jones. They added Chandler Jones. And they have Crosby on the other side. I think they showed some sparks last week, but overall, they haven't been living up to expectations. The offense has not nearly looked as explosive as they should be able to look. I mean, I think Darren Waller being injured has something to do with that. What are they, 1-4 right now? Yeah. I mean, we expected at least them to compete for a playoff spot. I mean,
yeah.
And the fact that they're starting 1-4, like, it's not good. And they have to find more ways to get Devontae Adams open. I personally don't think they're looking at him enough. I really don't. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know what the numbers are, like how many targets per game, but I've been watching their games, and I see them. They'll go 3 straight possessions without looking Devontae Adams' way. It's like Josh McDaniels. Find ways to get him involved. You have to. He's your best player.
Yeah.
Whether it's a jet sweep, something, you have to give Devontae Adams the ball. Flea flicker, just whatever. Just find a way to give him the ball. Once you do, your odds of winning significantly increase. But just the whole thing in Las Vegas has been an extreme disappointment. But the good news, we're in October, so they have some time to turn it around. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think this is one of the rare cases of a lose-lose.
No.
I think Devontae would have been better off with the Packers.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
I will say one of my biggest disappointments, I'm going to go with a player who I think is one of those top 10 type players in the receiver, is DJ Moore. Yeah. DJ Moore is a casualty from that Panthers offense.
Yeah.
The dude, and it's funny because everybody gets it. I have not seen anyone say, "Oh, DJ Moore's trash." Everyone gets that DJ Moore is that guy, and he needs to get traded, or they need to find something ASAP because he's way too talented to waste his time on Carolina. The man is. He is Debo Samuel light, and I don't mean like he's an inferior version. I mean he's almost right up there.
He can run with the catch, or run with the,
He's a running back and he's a running back who is a wide receiver. So I'm hoping that he can, improve, and maybe he'll get traded and he can actually start dominating like he's supposed to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like we said, I think that has a lot to do with his situation, man. And his situation is just not good, just to, reinforce what you're saying. But, he is definitely, I definitely love his talent for sure.
Yeah. Who's your second choice?
Second choice. I want to say this team, but, I think you're going to take them. No?
No, say it. Say it. You got the first pick. You get to pick.
I think... I just think the AFC West in general, man. We expected them to be, the best division in the entire league. Just overall, like the Chargers have been underperforming. They lost to the they got the brakes beaten off them by the Jaguars. I mean, Denver, their offense is not looking good. I just spoke on the Las Vegas Raiders. I just think overall the AFC West is definitely underachieved.
It is.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what team you were going to talk about, and then I looked at the TV and I was like, oh, he probably thinks I'm going to talk about the Broncos.
Yeah.
The Broncos, since you said AFC West, I'm going to say Broncos.
Yeah.
Is the amount of primetime games they got is because everyone thought they were going to be good. And they have some of the worst primetime games. Granted, the game currently on is not a bad game. Yeah. It's a 16-16 overtime game. So they're playing a good game against the Chargers, but the Broncos are not fulfilling expectations. And the fact that Geno Smith is looking better than Russell Wilson at this point kind of just cements that. All right.
Real quick, we also talk about Baltimore. They're 3-3. Like Baltimore should be better than what they are right now.
That's your third pick?
Yeah, it's my third pick. Yeah. Baltimore. They could legit be 6-0. They should have beat Miami. Probably should have. Had a chance. I'll give us the Giants some credit. Like, we made some plays. We did some things to confuse Lamar Jackson, but that was a very winnable game, and they definitely should have beat the Bills. They're up 20-3. So they could be legit 6-0 right now, but, they've made some, boneheaded decisions defensively, and, the 3-3 when you should be 6-0. So Baltimore is definitely a huge disappointment.
And that defense just is not that good.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to go with the position group now. And this is just purely because, I want, I'm looking at fantasy stats and stuff. Is the tight end position as a whole is very sad.
Oh.
George Kittle is not doing good right now. Darren Waller does not look good right now. Kyle Pitts does not look good right now. And there's plenty more examples. It's really the only consistent tight ends are Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. Everyone else is just not showing it. It's like, what happened to the tight end position? So I'm hoping they can get it back on track because we need to give those big guys some love.
Yeah, for sure, man. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, tight ends, you look through fantasy, they're not doing it.
Yeah, we're not even necessarily talking about fantasy. We're just talking about production.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. It's like the Niners run through George Kittle, or they did, but it's like Debo's not even doing that well either. So, I don't know what's happened with the Niners.
For sure.
Anyways, so that sums it up, wraps it up for our second podcast.
Yep.
And we look forward to you guys hearing the next one.
Yeah, and the next one on Wednesday, we're talking more NBA basketball, right?
Yeah. We're going to have our NFL predictions, and then we're going to talk about NBA basketball, talk about different rankings, who we think is going to make the playoffs, what we think the seeds are going to be. It's going to be a good time.
Yep.
See you guys then.
All right. Peace out.